there, Mama Bear here. Welcome to the Chill Zone. If you're returning to the Chill Zone, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. And a word of advice. Please don't drive or operate machinery while listening to this video. My voice can be sedating. Today I come with a new story written by my friend Straps. This story embraces the change that comes with life. A word of note, there is no reason to adjust your display. This book is presented in a standard square aspect ratio. There is nothing wrong with your television. This I dedicate to my little friend Amber, who has brought me to the thought process of how to be inspired by this book by asking me, where did her Gecko go? Did he go to San Diego? To Amber and her lovely family, thank you all for the lovely memories, and I hope we see each other again. Amber's Gecko. It was a sleepy night in Hawaii. 3-year-old Amber lay peacefully in bed, staring around her room at everything in boxes colorfully marked. Amber's bedroom. Amber had been excited. Her mother, Alicia, had told her about the excitement in California. Amber looked at the wall where a gecko often would crawl around, and sure enough, her green little friend was crawling along the wall as she closed her eyes. Deeply asleep, she didn't hear anything going on in the night. That little green gecko crawled around the room, seeing Amber's bedding box, and then her box with her iPad and all of her video games. Amber wasn't rich, but being in a military family, she was well taken care of. The next morning, she awoke to a massive loud racket of men yelling, "Grab that box over here and take it onto the truck." Pots and pans and other crashing sounds came from beneath her bed. A man walked into her room and boxes began to vanish. Her mother came in hurriedly and said, "Let's go, Amber. We need to be on the plane in 3 hours. We have no time to say goodbye to anything. We have to go to the airport now." Amber caught what was going to be the last sight of Elmer, her gecko, that she'd found in the playground near the early advancement school. That gecko followed her home in her book bag. Since then, the gecko had always hung around on the wall. Now she got put into her car seat after being taken from the house. Tearful, she looked at Austin, her father, who turned around wearing his uniform and said, "Listen, you're the daughter of a sailor. I need you to be strong for this move. Friends are going to come and go in life, but family's forever." Amber sniffed and cried lightly before Austin reached into the glove box and handed her a game. Amber played the game until they got to the airport. At the airport, she fell asleep in Alicia's arms as they were waiting to get on the plane. Almost 7 hours later, they landed in San Francisco. Amber looked around the massive airport. As she awoke blurry-eyed, Austin said to her, "Time to go see our new house. The movers should arrive tomorrow." They all walked out to the airport and got to the black limo. Amber crawled around the large stretch limousine as they drove to their new house, a large Pueblo 2-floor home in San Diego. That night, Amber slept in the main room with her mom and dad. Everyone slept on a large sofa, as it was all that was brought on the plane. The next day, the same racket, but in reverse, with the military moving men. These men were awfully noisy, and they moved around so quickly. Alicia carried Amber up the stairs to the new bedroom. Quickly, boxes piled in the room, and an hour later her bed came into the room, wrapped in plastic wrap. Alicia cut the plastic wrap off the bed, and suddenly Elmer came crawling out from between the plastic and the headboard of the bed. Alicia said loudly, "Ah! What is that?" Amber said, "Elmer, Gecko." She ran up to the bed and picked up the small creature. The gecko had traveled in the bed frame, taking advantage of the plastic for humidity and warmth. Alicia called Austin into the room and said, "What do we do? Is it unlicensed import?" Austin said to Alicia, "Don't worry, just go to the pet store with her. I'll handle the paperwork. It's just a common Hawaiian gecko." Alicia and Amber vanished to the car and then headed to the pet store, a massive warehouse with lizards, fish, dogs, and cats, along with a crowd of people. Alicia grabbed a terrarium tank, a few wooden logs, some insects for feeding, and a heating lamp. She piled all the items into the cart behind Amber as she looked around at them, saying, "What?" Every time she said what, Alicia explained what was in her hand. Not that Amber would understand a whole lot of it. The terrarium is a safe glass box to hold a gecko or reptile. The wood logs give the animals places to hide and climb. Insects are obviously food. The heat lamps substitute for the sun during the day. These basic items came home with Amber, and that night Alicia set up on Amber's dresser a terrarium with a glowing red sign that says Elmer's Den above it. A locking lid on top kept her friend from going far from the safety of his home. Every day Alicia and Amber would take Elmer out of the terrarium, and he always crawls around the walls of the house, sometimes even going outside and crawling up on the roof, making Austin crawl up the ladder to pick him up. A sort of mischievous game of hide and seek. A friend might disappear and reappear, but family always returns, and real friends don't stay away for very long. Thank you, Amber, for the lovely memories, and thank you to her wonderful family. I hope you enjoyed this story.